You yield back.
The gentleman yields back. The gentleman from Maryland is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do want to start by commending Congressman Buck and Gates for their comments earlier today. I was pleasantly surprised to hear the affirmative comments they made with respect to the FTC, but also legislation they're working on with Ms. Jayapal that I think is important and critical legislation that could be very useful. I kind of note that we haven't had hearings on legislation like that. We've had a lot of hearings for the weaponization issues and a lot of hearings trying to attack the Biden administration in various ways. But we haven't had any hearings on affirmative legislation that would have an impact on people in these markets. And I'm on the antitrust subcommittee, and I think we've had 2 hearings there. We had one Mr. Massey put together that dealt with agriculture issues. I think it was meat packing in small entities, but it wasn't as explicitly an antitrust hearing. It just so happened that the witnesses at the table noted that the big 4 companies that are dominating that industry are the ones that are crushing small farmers and running them out of business and increasing prices. But and I requested at the hearing some sort of approach that would try and address that concern, but nothing's come back yet. And I would note this too: we've got matters pending, in the United States here before your commission or Department of Justice. Some have been mentioned today already: the PBMs, Ticketmaster, JetBlue, Kroger-Albertson merger, the Microsoft matter that was handled yesterday. The subcommittee on antitrust has had no hearings on any of those issues whatsoever. So I know this is an oversight hearing with respect to the FTC, but it might make sense if we take a moment and have a little oversight for ourselves on what's going on here on the subcommittee. A few minutes ago, it was raised that about a subpoena that the FTC had issued, and I guess the comment was that it was overbroad. But I did want to raise this as well. The Judiciary Committee on May 25th, 2023, sent a document demand to the Department of Justice that demanded, and I'm quoting, all documents and communications between or among the Department of Justice and the Internal Revenue Service referring or relating to any investigations involving both the Department of Justice and Internal Revenue Service from May 1, 2023 to the present. Now, we'll set aside for a moment that would include grand jury materials potentially, which of course they can't turn over based on a letter like this, even from Congress. But if we're gonna throw rocks, let's make sure we're not in the glass house, because that is beyond overbroad. And I think this isn't, I just picked one out of many, but there's a lot of requests that this committee has sent out to the administration and in some instances to private companies, depending on whether they're on the good side of the Republicans or not. And I think we should be very careful in making sure we're using the power of the committee and the House of Representatives in an appropriate way, just like they're asking the FTC to do. And then I did want to close with this point. That's with respect to the recusal issue. That's been discussed quite a bit. And I think it's been addressed in Judge Boasberg's opinion. I thought made it crystal clear why you didn't need to recuse yourself. And in fact, he said, in judging the motions that had been filed to him, that it wasn't necessary or even appropriate. But at the same time, this committee again is ignoring one of the most obvious issues with respect to recusal and ethics, and that's with respect to the Supreme Court. We had 35 members send a letter to the Speaker and to the committee chair raising the issues, and we've all heard of them. Justice Thomas, and he's got billionaires buying property from his mother and taking him on yacht trips and the like, and Justice Alito had similar sorts of issues. We sent a letter to both the Speaker and the committee chair asking to have hearings, that we should take a look at a code of conduct for the Supreme Court justices, that we should consider whether there should be rules in place with respect to recusal for members of Congress. To the best of my knowledge, there's been no response to this letter. But more importantly, no steps that have been taken to try and address the issues that have been made very obvious by the conduct of Justice Thomas and Justice Alito. And that's just the beginning. So I would move for unanimous consent to have an op-ed from Jesse Wegman. Does Justice Alito hear himself? And then Daniel Boguzlaw, I think, Samuel Alito's wife leased land to an oil and gas firm with the justice while the justice fought the EPA. And then the letter from this dated April 17th to Honorable Kevin McCarthy and Honorable Jim Jordan, and this from 35-plus members of the House. I would ask that all of these be made part of the record.
Objection. Gentleman from California, the gentleman yields back. Gentleman from California is recognized.
Ms. Khan, there's a Wall Street Journal column written by Christine Wilson. She resigned from the FTC because of a range of concerns